Triveni Shootout. And today we'll have a look at two pens, or well actually 4 pens, made by Fountain Pen Revolution. FountainPenRevolution.com, an India-based website, ships worldwide, sends out Indian pens all over the world. And the fun thing about Indian pens is that often they are relatively inexpensive. You're talking about, I think, a maximum of $33–35 here, so that's very, very affordable. Okay, these pens are actually made for the website. This was the original Triveni model. I have it in acrylic and ebonite here. And this is the new Triveni Junior model, again in ebonite and acrylic. They come in a couple of finishes. I don't have every finish here. This is what I have, and these pens were sent to me by Kevin, who owns the website. Minor adjustment there. Move a little closer. I have separate reviews of these pens, so I don't want to cover them in too much detail, but I want to show you today what the difference is between the Triveni and the Triveni Junior. Okay, you see the Junior is smaller than the Triveni, but that's not the only difference. The Junior can now be purchased with a bunch of nib options. Often Indian pens only come in fine nibs. The fun thing with these is that you can now pick fine, medium, and broad, and also, and I think that's the option a lot of people are going to go for, with a flex nib, and that's what I'll be talking about in a second. Now, a quick rundown. So you have the ebonite and the acrylic. They have similar sections. So this is the regular Triveni model. I'm going to show you this one. Again, I have a separate review of this. It's a nice acrylic. You see a black end cap there. Then you have the actual cap, also black at the end there. And then you have the section, and this is the section I think that is also used on the Surwex MB pen, and this is the FPR Flex nib. Okay, the Triveni is, I think, a rather big pen. It's pretty long, it has a nice section, and when you post it, it becomes a really big pen. It's not the girthiest pen, it's just long. It's fed by cartridges or a converter, but the fun thing about these pens is that you can also use them as eyedroppers, and of course with a barrel this size, it holds a decent amount of ink. Now I can show you the ebonite model, but it has a similar section, similar converter, and it can also be used as an eyedropper filled pen. So they have these. And then you have these Junior models, the smaller models, and I like these a lot. I think they're going to appeal to a lot of people. And here you have a size comparison capped between the Junior and the normal size models, and as you can see, that's quite a bit of a difference. And if you uncap them, there definitely is a pronounced difference in size between the two, as you can see here. So the Junior model really is quite a bit smaller, but one thing that I really enjoy is that, as you can see, the Junior has a matching section to the barrel, and I think that looks really nice, looks a lot better than the Triveni. There's nothing wrong with the section of the Triveni, but for me a pen always scores bonus points when the section matches the barrel. I just think aesthetically it looks really cool. Okay, as I said, a bunch of nib options, fine, medium, broad, and also a flex nib. And the nice thing about these new flex nibs that Kevin got is that they're actually 2 tones. So not everyone cares for 2 tones, but I do. I think it looks nice, and apart from that, it's just a flex nib, but it looks nice. Okay. These pens, I don't know if there's a converter in here. No, I took it out. That's fine. Maybe I have one in the ebonite model. Let me quickly check. The Trivenis came with a syringe type converter. So that's a converter. Well, instead of trying to explain this, it's easier to just show you. It's a very simple converter type that's also used by Parker. Let me focus on there. There we go. Put it in the ink bottle, pull this thing back, and you have a syringe mechanism. Very simple, works well. I've not had any issues with it. If you want to use a converter, of course, if you use an eyedropper to fill the pen, you don't need to use a converter. But eyedropper is not always ideal. A lot of ink also means you can spill a lot of ink, which is not always convenient. This is a new type converter that comes with the Junior models. As you can see, it's a very standard converter type, just with a a twisting knob and then a piston that moves up and down. Even has a little ball agitator in there to break the surface tension of the ink so it won't get stuck to the end of the converter. All very nicely done. And this one also has the flex nib on there. So, and the Ebonite, again, now a matching section as opposed to the old Triveni model, the regular Triveni. Now, I have heard that there may be new Trivenis that also have matching sections, but when as I'm shooting this video, this is late December 2014, they are not launched yet. The cat comes to investigate if the pens have launched. Have they been launched yet? Do you know? Have they been launched? Is this new? Is it launched yet? It is launched. Sniffing it won't help. There is very little going on in the mind of that animal. Okay, so there you have it. Now, do I prefer one over the other? Let me show you again the size of the two. Triveni, and of course the Triveni Junior can also be used as an eyedropper. Triveni posted. Triveni Junior, considerably smaller, and Triveni Junior posted. Do I prefer one over the other? Yes, I prefer the Junior. The reason, purely cosmetic in nature. I like the matching section. I think it looks cool. Also, I think this in particular, it's called Giraffe, is a fantastic acrylic. It's nice, it's fresh. This is something you could give a kid, because it's not too big. I think a child could really use this well, and it's a fun finish, which I really enjoy, and I know it appeals to a lot of adults too. These pens, nothing wrong with those, and if they would be launched with matching sections, I think that would be very cool. Personally, I prefer these. Writing experience with both is fine. Now, what you want to know, I know you do, is what about the flex? Well, for the flex, I think it works well, and you get performance very similar to a nudeless pen. So, the one thing I will say though is I'm yet to try out a Triveni pen with flex nib that doesn't write at all. I have had that experience with nudeless. I've not had that experience with a fountain pen Revolution pen. Both are produced in India, etc. My experience is quite good. You do get a plastic feed in the fountain pen Revolution pens. The downside to that is that it's not really possible to heat set those. Plastic will melt. With an ebonite feed, as you get in the nudeless pens, you can heat set it, adjust it more to your preference, carve it up a bit more, increase ink flow. But on the new Triveni models, they have actually made special feeds for the broad nibs, and at least definitely for the flex nibs. They have a higher ink demand, and the feed is actually different. So if you buy the flex nib, it's a few dollars more, but you will also get a feed that is plastic, but is especially adapted to the flex nib, and I found that to work well. They will railroad, just like nudeless pens will railroad, and just like any modern flex pen that I have seen will railroad, but you will definitely get nice line variation and fun to play with. So there you have it. That was a lot of talk. I'm not going to show you how to take these pens apart. I used to do that in the fountain pen shootouts, but I've moved that to the disassembly line videos. So what we're going to do next, I think, is much more useful. Let's compare these pens side by side, see how they write, and that's all there's to it. Thanks to Kevin for sending me these pens. I appreciate it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the new versus the old Triveni models. Now let me start with the old, the full-size Triveni. The flex nibs are on both pens. There's a couple of options you can choose from these days, but here we have the Triveni. That's completely legible, but that's alright. The ink is an Ackermann ink, Trèves Turquoise. I'm just writing, flexing, and pushing it to the max here. That's what I'm able to get out. Alright? And then you have a relatively wet nib, but this was just inked up. Okay, so I'm going to make that separator here. Separator, I should say. And then here's wrong nib. Here is the Triveni Junior. Had some issues getting that to right, but I just switched nibs on the fly. This is what you get. Okay, let's blot that a little bit, and then I'm all ready to go. So this would be the Triveni Junior, which can also make the quick brown fox jump over the lazy dog. Another nice flex nib. Which actually has a feed that was supposed to be used with this. As you can see, I can really make it gush there. Nice, wet, interesting writer. Of course, at some point it will start to railroad. Same thing goes for the original Triveni. But there you have it. So this is how they both write. The new two-tone flex nib I think is very pleasant. I liked the size of the original Triveni model. The Junior is, of course, Junior. It is smaller, but for people with smaller hands that may be very pleasant. They're fun pens to play with. So here they are, side by side. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye.